Good afternoon. Welcome to the Big Dam. This your boy Bobby Hill. It's been a minute. I'm glad to see y'all here today. I'm glad to, you know, I hope everything is going okay with you. Um, Aspirations, things in the short term, long term, wherever you're trying to get accomplished. I hope you one step closer to it. As always, give a shout out to my lovely wife, Sandra Hill. She's feeling a little under the weather. To last, that's one of the reasons why I couldn't want to do anything Monday because so my wife works in the hospital, and how hospitals can be. A lot of germs, a lot of diseases. Even though they try to be, in the hospital, they try to be as sanitary as they can. They wear the masks and the gloves, and do everything they can to prevent, the spread of whatever walk through them doors. But sometimes it's not a perfect science. Things happen, and she got a little bit of thing. Just you know, fortunately, it wasn't nothing like it's not anything like major. It's not which had COVID, anything like that. No bronchitis or pneumonia or whatever might come through the emergency room doors. But she got a little cold. You know, and this is amazing. All these advances in medical science, and we still haven't cured the common cold. But yeah, it's just let's say she's feeling under the weather, had a bad cough. She's been coughing a lot lately. First it was a dry cough, and now everybody familiar with it. And you had kids, and even if you went through yourself, you have chest be tight. Up here your sinuses is tight, and after a while, you just feel it when it starts breaking up, and you coughing, and you got phlegm, and you can feel it breaking up. And we went to the doctor today, just to check on her, and they told her what it was. So basically everything, the routine, what I'm saying. Try to find some, just antibiotics, and give it a couple of days and see where we at from there. Some virus, so there's pretty much nothing you can do but let it run its course because viruses are they move differently than bacteria. So viruses sort of got to let it run its course, and hopefully you can it's don't get too bad, and once it leaves, you'll start things will be better. So hopefully baby girl get right. She take care of herself. She eat healthy and stuff. So take care of herself. So it's we don't think that she'll be feeling this way too much longer. Try to be that. Like the Bible say, in sickness and in health. You know, and take the things seriously. And this is part of it. You gotta lean on each other because if it was the roles were reversed and I was going through that, she would be the same way with me. So yeah, give all my love. I'm her rock. She's my rock. And that's how we get down. That's how we move through this world together. It's very beautiful that I was able to find this. It took me 40 something 49 years to find it, but it better late than never. As the saying goes, better late than never. You know, and the same goes about this country too. Better late than never, man. We need to do something, man. Get on the right path and stop. Stop. We realize, Trump is here. Trump, doing what he's doing. He's, we all know, so he got strong feelings about him. I know I do. I want to sit here and talk about bash him all the time. How I feel about him. So it's just these other people around here that are showing how incompetent they are trying to be like him. He is one on one. He is who he is. And these other people, you don't have part of, what makes him who he is just his name and his star appeal. He found a way to become, found a way to become a star, and finesse that into a presidency. That's what he did. That's basically what he did. So everybody think they can do his route and be that way, and they're not. They try to think that by being within proximity of him, somehow that makes them like him, and that they can have that same appeal on people, or they can have that same effect. And it's not like that, man. They look like idiots out here, and just, I know there was some, I know some primaries last night, in certain states. I know the one I heard about a lot, because I don't try to, I don't try to, immerse myself in all that anymore like I used to. But I don't do that, no, because that could get, depressing. It could get, you just don't, I don't want to get, I will still look at it because I want to talk about it a little bit. But I pay attention to it, but I don't sit there and look at it for hours and hours. But, there's a guy that won, think the Democratic Senate primary in Michigan. And I think he's a Muslim. What's that? I forgot. I don't want to mess up his name. So when I get Saeed in his name, I forgot his first. I think he's Muslim, but the way there's a way he was talking. He sounded good. I mean, over the years, people, basically down the time. I hate, I don't want to get like this, but this is the facts. I hope you don't get mad. I don't care. Basically, you know, the white people in this country back in the days. Not this now is the result. I'm talking about the white people back in the day. They, tried to determine that this was a Christian country and it can only be ran by, it can only, be governed by Christian people, specifically white male Christian people. So that was the pretext to all of this. So over the time we've been fighting to change that because there are more people in this country than Christian white men. And everybody needs to be represented because this is a representative democracy. So that means we have to be representative. I'm sorry, but a white man don't represent me. I'm sorry. I want somebody to represent me that looks like me, that thinks like me. So it shouldn't be determined on what God that you pray to. So they try to determine that this country is a country for like Christian, like this is a Christian country, like this country was founded on Christian values, which is not true because this country was founded on religious freedom, freedom of religion because was forced to they were forced by a king to believe this and all this, and they want to get away from that. So, you know, initially this country was, you know, in theory, it sounded good, but application of it has been, has changed over time. You know, people think when they say freedom of religion, they mean like maybe like out here and out what they. I feel like this is my opinion. I don't know what they. I feel like what they meant was freedom of religion out here in the public, out here in the world. But as far as government, they felt like only a certain narrow group of people should, be involved in the government. And I think now you're seeing the change of that. You're seeing a whole new generation of people who, like each generation get further and further from that division, that divisive time, that divisive, Jim Crow segregation attitude stuff. All them people that were involved and lived through that. These people are getting old. These people are dying. And a new generation comes that didn't go through all that. You know, we didn't experience that. We heard about it. We got the crumbs of it. We got the by the time we were able to come up in this, I was born in '75. You know, uh, by the time I started to be cognizant of everything around me in the '80s, like so we got crumbs of it, man. I ain't saying it was all. We didn't get we didn't deal with the '60s, '50s, and all that now, but there's a little bit of it. It was still there. We have our images. We don't have images like frequent images of things that happened back in the days. I don't want to go through all that. We know what happened. You can look on YouTube and everything and find out what happened back in the day. But we experienced, the first real think the first real joint thing was for people our age and stuff, and we heard about it, and we like hear about it and see movies and stuff like that. But I think the first real true life incident of us like experiencing things like that was probably Rodney King. We've seen that how even though race relations were sort of improving, some places they were improving faster than other places, but they were improving. But that showed that we still have a long way to go. But like I said, with that being said, now the guy, the Muslim guy who won, for the Democratic Party, and actually, honestly, I love that. I love that. I love Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. I love, Ilhan Omar. Uh, I love my man up in New York, Mandami, especially, I think his name, Mandami, I think is his name, especially when he, said the line about Jadakiss, that got me right there. I'm good. I'm good. He's a fan. I like him, you know. As I said, it's not about what God that you pray to, if you can govern, if you got common sense, and if you can relate to people, and if you can help the people. It don't matter what God you pray to. And that's what the government was supposed to be about. That's what this country is supposed to be about. You know, you don't take your religious beliefs, and you don't take your religious ideas and try to, spread that and impose that upon the masses. You are not God. You don't supposed to do that. You know, when you step in that door, you step in that office of that job that you were elected to, you leave your religion at the door. You use common sense and you use wisdom and you use the education that you're supposed to have. That's how it's supposed to go, you know. And hopefully, after this Trump experiment, man, we can get back to seeing that we need to have intelligent people, people who people who are not worried about a few people who have all the money, but worry about the masses who don't have any money, because those are the ones who make this country or make this world go. The rich people don't do nothing in this world. They just sit back and make money. They are out here shopping. They're not out here going to the movies. They're not out here. They live a whole nother life that don't move the economy like ordinary, average, ordinary people have. How we get up and move around every day. That's what moves the economy. Going to the grocery store, going to Lowe's, going to Whataburger, going to Buc-ee's, going to Rudy's, going to wherever you need to go to purchase goods. That's what makes the economy go. These rich people don't do that. So, we need politicians that worry about the masses. Worry about these people, man. There are a lot of homeless people around here, man. It's just sad because some of them look like they don't need to be homeless, man. They look like they're capable of working and stuff, man. But I don't know, some sort of circumstances made them hopeless where now they don't have a home and there's no. What's sad that people don't care around here. That this is my experience driving trucks, man. You go by these cities and you see all these abandoned buildings everywhere around these cities. I mean, you see all these abandoned buildings, and not and you see homeless people, and trying to tell me that these people can sit up here and make billions of dollars. You're talking about the billionaires. Look at all these people making hundreds of $1,000,000 trying to be a billionaire. All them too. People with all this money. You're trying to tell me that there's so much hopelessness in this world. There's so much like division, or everybody's their own group. Like there's no sense of family, group, community. Only time it is on 4th of July that everybody's split the group. Everybody expected to be, they're proud to be American and all that shit. But what happened to the other 364 days? You don't give a damn about your neighbor. Only during Christmas or Easter or 4th of July. I mean, we used to help each other out and stuff. We don't want to do that, man. Get these people off the streets, man. Get these homeless people, get them cleaned up, man. Get them, all these buildings and places. They trying to tell me you can get these people to, fix this place up and get these people to live here and, let them work. Let them, work to upkeep the place and let that be their work. Give them a sense of purpose and stuff like that, man. Little things you can do, man, but people don't have that heart. People don't have that, what's going to cost me or, whatever, man. People just got every excuse not to help, but they complain all the time, you know? So it just, yeah, it's good to see that we see people running for government and people are listening to these people and not and drowning out the Fox News and the conservative because this guy from Michigan, they're gonna attack him. It's because he's Muslim. They're gonna attack him. They're gonna attack him. They're gonna try to tie him to 9/11. They're gonna try to tie him to Iran. They're gonna try to do anything to tie him to something that ties into the fear of the American people. Ever since 9/11, it's not as bad as it used to be, but ever since 9/11, America just had a phobia, Islamophobia. Muslims had to prove twice as hard that they were worthy of stuff because of, first thing they think, oh my God, how can you, just like in New York, people was all up, oh my God, how can you damn elect a Muslim after 9/11 and all that? So what? Every Muslim ain't involved in that. That's a few rogue people. It's in every people, it's in every race, every people. Just like, but that's part of the course. That's what they do, Just like the Muslim, we feel that because that's what we go through. Being judged by a few idiots, you judge a whole race by a few idiots that do do stupid stuff. You judge a whole race of people, So that's what it is. But I'm glad, hopefully, people open their eyes, and people don't want to say they say this word the wrong way. They, white people hijack this word, but this is being woke. See what's going out there. See what these people are doing. Don't go by what you hear on Fox News all the time because they're not a news corporation. They're an entertainment show. All they're trying to do is entertain you people and scare you people to get you out here buying this stuff on their channel for advertising. They don't care about the well-being of the people. They don't care about it. They don't care. All they care about is, not making Trump mad. That's all they care about. So, don't fall for it. Open your eyes up and look at different. Let's, have different avenues for information, not just that. Because it's apparent that, they aren't in the business of, helping the people, helping all the people. They're in the business of helping their people. And I'm happy for stuff like the guy they elect them and the guy that won the primary in Michigan. I'm sorry, I'm gonna find it. I know. I owe him more respect than that. Let me find his thing right now. I'm sorry. Abdul El Sayed. That's another Abdul El Sayed. Yeah. And I'm glad to see Mr. El Sayed, people like him, I'm glad to see America and places are opening up to letting other people, decide what's going on. People have good ideas, man. You want to it don't matter if they don't look like you. They can have an idea to help you. Everybody that looks like you isn't there for your best interest. And that goes for everybody. Me too. You too. Because people look like you don't mean they got your best interest. Sometimes give a try. You let somebody that don't look like you, that don't believe like you, let them see if they can help you out. They might open your eyes to something. So that's, I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see because we need that. Because it's hard out there. It's hard. These people out here are relentless. These people out here that are determined to destroy and divide, and they are relentless out here. They would never stop. That's why you got to be relentless against them, and you can't allow this stuff to, yes, out here right now, but you got to be strong, man. This country has over 300 million people out here, man. That means something. Don't let all this, cruelty, don't let all this negativity, don't let all this stuff, man, by this, because presidents don't last forever. Trust me, they're gonna have 47 presidents. They don't last forever. So don't think that things are like this forever. Things are gonna be hopeless forever. Just keep, you gotta keep, stay the course. Keep working hard. But then you gotta take time out to enjoy life a little bit too, man, because turn off the TV, turn your phone off, man. Stop worrying about all this stuff and just enjoy life in front of you. I try to do that every day, man. I try not to, stay on my phone like that a lot. I use my phone a little bit because I do, the job I do, I use my phone for that navigation. That's it, man. I try not to scroll on social media. I do some. I'm not gonna sit there and be naive and lie and say I don't. I do, but I don't spend hours and hours on that screen time as far as social media. I don't, you know. But man, watch free videos, look at what's going on, see if something happening. I try not to. I don't do that, man, because I feel like it's poison for your mind. I'm trying to keep my mind sharp. Not sharp as I can for as long as I can. I'm not trying to be standing to the screen all the time. Just killing my brain cell. Let something else do the work for me. Instead of me trying to figure something out, trying to remember. See, what I do is, don't get me wrong. I do use Google whenever I need to find something. Sometimes, but when the point I use Google is after I done tried to, dig in my mind and try to find it, man. Trying to, cause that's how you keep your mind sharp. Exercise your mind. Try to remember stuff, man. Try to focus on stuff. Because if you don't do it when you find yourself getting older, you can't focus on stuff and you get anxious and can't not. I try to, keep my mind sharp, try to remember stuff. You know, if I try to remember it, if I can't remember, I try as hard as I can to last like till I just can't. Then I might look at Google or whatever. But like when let's say if I'm online, sometimes I might be in a debate with somebody or whatever. I'm in the groups, Facebook groups. Man, shout out to my man. Shout out to my boys in my group. My boys in my what? The men and women in the group of talking sports with that guy from Gerald Parker, my man D White here. A couple other fellas out there. Always the Brown versus Jordan thing out there. But whenever we talk, sometimes whenever they bring up, talk about stuff, for the most of the time, I ain't gonna say all the time. Most of the time, when I say something, I try to think of stuff that I remember. Especially we talk about, it's a lot of basketball debate and stuff. So I try to talk about stuff that I remember. I don't try to go back in unless I need very specific stats. I might too, but I try to pull up stuff that I remember. Not looking at stuff I don't seen on YouTube or looking at something I've pulled up on Google. I try to research in my own brain and try to recall. You know, that's just exercise for the brain. That's what I do. Some people don't do it. People run to their phone. I don't do that, man. I got a phone right here, a smartphone right here too. I don't need that smartphone. Only in emergencies. I use this smartphone first. You know, so I'm saying you too dependent on this smartphone, and this smartphone won't break down. So I try to balance it out, man. Try not to have my life controlled by the phone or try to, there's aspects where I do use it. It's my alarm clock. When I'm cooking, I use it as a timer. Sometimes I have, Apple TV. Whenever my remote be messing up, I use it as a remote. It's it's funny how in the '80s we had a big gigantic boom box that was the size of a large box, a large moving box at Walmart. A big ass radio like that. We don't go from that to a phone, a little, you know, a little iPad, a little iPod that makes phone calls and takes pictures. So I do use it for my music, and I do that. I use it because I always been with my music. I always had a radio box, so that's just I use it for that. But that's music. I love listening to music, but as far as social media and all that, I try to limit that. I shop online a little bit and stuff. Whenever And I do grocery shopping online. I do pickups. And I do pickups a lot because it's easier. It's easier. It's less. There's so much going on in the grocery store sometimes. The older you get, you just don't want to. You see, as the older you get, you realize how much energy you use to go shopping. Getting first of all, getting in your vehicle, driving there, then let's say finding a parking space. Sometimes, Lord have mercy, you feel like you're playing a video game. Once you finally get a parking space, sometimes you just surrender. Like, man, I'm just gonna park, a little ways from the door. You walk. By the time you walk, let's say Walmart, you finally go to Walmart. Get in there to the parking lot. Then most of the Walmarts are big, and the place you go inside on the food side, and you got to find something on all the way to the other end on the automotive side. So you got to walk all the way across the store in the back, and then walk here and do all that walking about 2 miles into that store, then walk back out to the damn car. And when you finally get to the damn car, you pack your damn, if it ain't hot as hell out there, you finally pack all your stuff in the car, get home and have to unpack it again, take all the I'm sorry, forgive me, take all the bags out, whatever. If it's groceries, you put them up. If it's food, you put them up. It's whatever you have to assemble. It's just so damn, shopping is just so, it's a young man's games. Thank God for online shopping and delivery. And stuff. I don't use that much delivery except for Amazon, but I don't use that too much as far as the, you know, food and all that. Nah. I work for DoorDash. I do DoorDash. I don't use it. I don't, I prefer going out because I like being out in the world. And, I still love doing that. And I will always love doing that till I die. I'm not going to be that person to sit up in here and shut myself out from the world and stuff. Nah, I want to, that's part of, keeping my brain sharp and getting out here in this world and allowing all this information, all this color, all this music, all this beauty, all this everything out here in this world, allow that to, keep my brain sharp. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna sit up in the house and look at four walls and look at a phone or look at the same thing every time and allow my brain to rot. I refuse to do that. So that's my part. I can't, don't I would encourage everybody to do that, man. Just don't sit up here. Get out here in this world, man. I mean, you don't got to sit up here and do something. You don't always got to go out here and spend money, man. Just get out here in this world and just let this stuff in your mind, let this stuff in your brain, man. Let your brain absorb everything, man. It's good for you. It's good for you. That's very good for you, man. Don't sit up here in the house, going crazy, worrying about what the hell somebody else saying about you on the phone, or worrying about what somebody else posted, or worrying about what kind of shoes somebody bought, or worrying about what kind of damn toenails somebody got, or worrying about whatever, man. Stop worrying about all this stuff and just, get out here in this world, man. You're missing life. Sit on this phone. That life on the phone, even though it's images of real life, life on that phone is imaginary. That's not real, man. Just out here in this world, that's real. And you need to do that, man. Get involved in the real world. So yeah, young and old, especially young people. Young people and old. Young people, middle age, people my age, y'all. Like I said, get off these phones, get out here in the world. Expand your mind. I'm gonna sit up here and just don't sit up and let the smartphone make you dumb. That's all. That's my point. That's my point. So I ain't want to get preachy for today, but like I said, time to time I like to sit and talk about get things on my mind, what I feel about what's going on out here in this world and stuff, and what's going on, what I see. You know, do I have all the answers? No, I don't have all the answers. I'm not out here acting like I'm having all the answers, but if I can provide my part, give my part or help someone get over the hump or help someone get past some sort of obstacle that they're trying to get through. If I can help them do that, that's well worth it. It's well worth it. And well worth it. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not here trying to, be something that I'm not. I'm not here trying to flex on nobody. I'm not here trying to do no trying, a youngish black man trying to just, show, I feel like As people say calling and all, no, I do feel like an urge just to, talk and express and provide knowledge and with the knowledge that I can, to help people. Like I said, people help me, I help them. I get feedback. People tell me what they want to hear. People tell me how I'm doing, and now, they critique me. They people that let me know. Not everybody be like, hey, or whatever. They be like, they'll let me know what can I do better in. So, like I said, it's I just feel oh no, just feel a calling to do it, just to just to help people, just to try to provide some sort of, like I said, some sort of comfort, knowledge, anything. I would, I hope to provide that for someone. You know. And before I go, I'm about to go right now. I like to give a shout out. I like to give a shout out to my man Husani Kudwa Gaya. I spoke to him a few weeks ago. He lost his brother, my classmate Brent Gale. Shout out to him and his brother Mike, his mom, his brother Buchanan. Staying strong in there. I hope everything going well with you, man. I know just it's tough every day. I hope hope you getting through it, fighting it every day. You know, love all of y'all, but give a shout out to him, man, Husani. This man, on his retirement. I didn't work for UPS. Did this thing, work hard and stuff. But this boy done went to damn Japan. What in the hell? He going over there. He going over there going to become an anime character or something. I don't know what's going on. What's it? That boy done flew all the way on the other side of the world. What in the world is Japan? I wishing, I think he's over there. Safe journey. Hope he's safe over there. Take care of himself, man. Just know the laws. That's all I'm gonna say. Know the laws. Know the rules. Know where you can go and can't go. For real. Shoot. I want to see you on a damn episode of Tokyo Drift over there. I'm just saying. I'm sad. But be safe over there, brother. Just be safe. Love you. Just, take care of yourself, my man. Like I said, after retirement, you deserve it. You work hard. With that being said, I'd like to thank y'all for coming here with me today. We try to do this thing on Friday. My wife, she's feeling better. I've been knocking on out. Like I said, I hope y'all, have a great evening. Like I said, I hope y'all, take what I say. If it can help you, I really hope that, you can take what I say and apply it to your life, and I hope it helps you. If I really want to, really help people. I'm not here to try to, this is not, I'm not being selfish. This is not about, to me personally, I think it's not about me. About, what I want to give to people, man, what I want to give out, what I want to pay forward. I got, a lot of experience and knowledge and stuff and intelligence. I want to, help people where I can. So just the way I can help them, then that's what I do. Everybody have a great evening. I see y'all in a few days. I love y'all. As I say, kiss your kids, kiss your loved ones, tell them how you feel, tell them you love them, because you might not get that chance again. I love all y'all. Take care of yourself. Be safe out there. Good night. Buenas noches. I will see you later.